doesn't require testing. Thank you very much to all of you for coming this morning on day 2, and this is the first session, and I'm very honored and happy to introduce India's Law and Justice and IT Minister, Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad. We could actually have many conversations with him. I was telling him at breakfast this morning that we could have a discussion on not just the ministries, which are very crucial that he's looking at, but of course the state of Indian politics. But the subject that we're actually focusing on today is particularly interesting and contentious. It is about the role of the executive and the judiciary in our democracy. And I think that, mistrust between institutions and democracies isn't something that is new. It isn't something that is unique to India either. We're certainly seeing it play out in a very colorful way in the United States at the moment. But here in India as well, we've seen that tussle between the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. But what has been interesting over the past couple of years has been an escalation of that tension, Mr. Prasad, where you have very public statements by the Chief Justice of India. He's broken down, talking about the fact that judicial appointments have been delayed for so long. And you have a government that has been pushing for greater transparency in the way judges have been appointed. And that really has been the focal point of this confrontation between the two. And it also comes at a time where over the last few years, we're seeing what some would call increasing judicial activism and what others would say is actually judicial overreach. So I'm going to invite Mr. Prasad first to give us some opening remarks before we open it up to questions both from myself and from you in the audience. Mr. Prasad.
Eminent television journalist of India, Nidhi Rajdan, Mr. Enram, Mr. Ravi, Mr. Narayanan, Mr. Mukundan Padmanabhan, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a privilege and honor for me to speak on a very significant yet contentious issue in the first Huddle edition organized by Hindu. It is nice to come to South India. We have grown too sick attending a lot of conclaves in Delhi. Coming south is a refreshing change in many ways. Well, this topic, constitutional governance and relationship between the executive and judiciary, is indeed has evolved over the years. And I'll be speaking, Nidhi, very briefly, wearing many hats. First and foremost, as an activist, student of India's Constitution, member of Parliament for the last nearly 18 years, having my experience of governance and seeing the polity of India grow over the years. First and foremost, salute to our founding fathers. They trusted ordinary Indians, regardless of their race, religion, or literacy, to make India through a proper democratic franchise. There were skeptics, senior journalists will know, whether India will survive or not. 70 years down the line, India has survived. What Constitution did to ordinary Indians? Told them in unmistakable terms who they are and what they owe to themselves. Today, Indians know they can unseat any political party, howsoever powerful, in the center of state, out of power, and also a political leader. This has brought about a sobriety in the polity of India. Let me give you two instances. There were formations in South India who talked of, in some parts of South India, who talked of alienation away from India. Once they came to power, the same constitution told them how you need to behave with power in your hand, with our support. And that brought about a different degree of understanding. I remember a big Khalistani supporter became a member of parliament. And when he was taking oath, he took the oath under the constitution which he was campaigning to break away from. These are important milestones in the evolution of India's constitutional governance. Now, coming to the larger issue, executive and the judiciary. Let me begin by making two statements. In the present government led by Shri Narendra Modi, we are those who have fought in the emergency. When there were press freedom curtailed, independence of judiciary under severe threat, people were arrested. We fought for three freedoms. individual, media, and independence of judiciary. Includes Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Mr. Arun Jaitley, Sushma Swaraj, Venkaiah Naidu, Ravi Shankar Prasad. Some for 5 years senior, some for 5 years junior. Therefore, our commitment for an independence of judiciary is complete and total. That's the first thing I would like to highlight. The second, very important, judiciary of India has played a very stellar role in the evolution of India. Apart from conventional role, the public interest litigation, enforcing executive accountability in case of corruption and impropriety, that is there. But there were currents and cross currents. Over the years, in the last 70 years, Nidhu, you have seen many of those issues in the debate. Indian polity evolved from the politics of identity to the first the politics of want. Everyone should get the bread, number one. The politics of identity, number two. And the politics of aspiration and growth. That is good governance. The three phases. We had issues of caste, issues of language, issues of religion, issues of deprivation, and the courts and the Supreme Court came with wonderful legal responses, addressing a large number of concerns which were provoking passion, inflaming passion. We salute that great contribution of the courts in India. But one thing I would like to say, and that is very important to be noted, executive and judiciary currents and cross currents were there. The Supreme Court in Keshwanan Bharati laid down the basic structure theory. Independence of judiciary is basic structure. Rule of law is basic structure. But there is one more basic structure. Separation of power is also a basic structure. And today, let me make one observation more as a student of law. The constitution maker was very clear that the courts must set aside wrong orders. The court must set aside, give directions enforcing compliance. The court must quash a legislation which is unconstitutional. But let me gently remind, the founding fathers also wanted legislation must be left in the realm of those elected to legislate by the people of India. And governance must be left in the realm of those elected to govern by the people of India. This has to be remembered. And when this, I would say, limitations gets breached, then problems do arise. I can only say, with the process, with the passage of time, these issues will keep on emerging and solution will have to be found out. Now, Nidhi, you talked about judicial appointments. You provoked me, the Law Minister of India, at the very outset, isn't it? Let me say, yes, the National Judicial Commission Act was piloted by me in Mr. Modi's government when I was the Law Minister initially. This is my third term as the Law Minister of India. The first was in the Bajpayee government. Collegium system needs improvement for appointment of judges. It was a rare unanimity in the polity of India. All Lok Sabha, each member on record voted for it. In the Raj Sabha, all the members voted for it, except Mr. Ram Jethmalani who walked out. Therefore, 99.9% there. 50% of India's legislature supported it completely, unanimously. The Supreme Court quashed it. Now, let me clarify. We have respected the judgment, we have accepted the judgment. But since I saw a beautiful note of Mr. Padmanabhan, Huddle is going to be an idea exchange of free and frank notions. I would like to make two observations. And this I am making as a student of India's constitution, not as the Law Minister of India. And Nidhi, I would like you to appreciate it, what I am going to say. In the judgment they have said, because Law Minister is a part of the process of appointment, if any judge is appointed to that process, if a litigant has a case against the government, he will have a suspicion of the impartiality of the judge, because in his appointment, the Law Minister was there. Now, this is a very loaded statement being made, and the same was for eminent persons. I again repeat, we have respected the judgment, we are following it. We have made the highest appointment in judges in the last 2 years since 1990, and we will continue to do. But it is a prime ministerial form of government. In the case of constitutional governance, it has to be appreciated. All the political parties of India have had share in the power of India. Today it is the BJP NDA government. The Prime Minister, the leader, he works with the Law Minister in Law, Defense Minister in Defense, Finance Minister in Economy and other ministers. The Prime Minister is the principal figure in the appointment of the President of India. He is the principal figure in the appointment of the Vice President of India, the Speaker of Lok Sabha, the Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha, the Chief Election Commissioner, the Election Commissioners, the Public Service Commission, the CAG, the CVC. The Prime Minister is trusted by the people of India to safeguard the unity and integrity of India. The Prime Minister controls the nuclear button for India's strategic security. The Prime Minister of India can do so many things which are also constitutional obligation. But the Prime Minister cannot be trusted through the Law Minister to appoint a High Court judge or a Supreme Court judge. That is a rather loaded comment to make. Somewhere or the other in future, we'll have to reflect upon this. That's the one point I'd like to make. The second, collegium system Nidhi was not a part of the Constitution. This is a judge-made law. It came in India in 1993. From 1950 to 1993, for 43 years, the Law Minister was a part. Many times the Home Minister was a part. Now, some of the finest judges of India came from the old process. Justice Patanjali Shastri, Justice Kania, Justice Gajendra Gadkar, Justice Hidayatullah, Justice Krishna Iyer, two eminent judges from Karnataka, Justice Venkat Ramaiah and Justice Venkat Chalaiah, beacon of independence. There was a little-known judge, Jagmohan Lal Sinha in Allahabad High Court, who had the guts to set aside the election of Indira Gandhi. You know that. All were part of the process where the Law Minister was there. Yes, in case of one to Law Minister during emergency, there were bad times. But to say that the involvement of Law Minister necessarily leads to bad appointment, I'm sorry to say, is again a very loaded comment. Sometime or the other in future, the polity will have to take a call. There is one thing I would like to say, how I see our constitutional governance now becoming mature after 70 years. A, India will be governed by parliamentary democracy. No military coup, no leader after Indira Gandhi disaster will dare impose the emergency. And I wish to compliment Hindu for the stand you took during emergency. For me, it is the occasion to compliment Hindu for the proud stand you took there. The second, India will have people choice with their freedom, certain fundamental right to life and liberty, subject to constitutional limitations. Thirdly, free and fair elections. Fourthly, free media. No politician can afford to control media with his whim and caprices. They are there, they should be there for the sake of the country. And lastly, independence of judiciary is sacrosanct, not negotiable. If these pillars are recognized, then good governance comes as a process. And I will just take 2 minutes. As an IT Minister of India, I am seeing the transformation of India. Speaking in Bangalore, the center of India's IT intellectual power, I wish to salute India's IT initiative and the people involved. Do you know the digital ecosystem of India? A population of 1.25 billion is home to 1.08 billion, 108 crore mobile phone, and 11 crore Aadhaar, 50 crore internet, 35 crore smartphones, soon to become 50 crore, and the biggest startup system, the fourth biggest in the world. Now, Digital India, Make in India, Startup India are transformative programs. And just to give you one example, we opened 27 crore bank accounts of the poor people, linked them to Aadhaar and the mobile, and we saved 50,000 crores in subsidy, which used to be pilfered by middlemen. The common service centers, 2 lakh, which we are operating in the country, they are Dalit women, and I encourage them a lot, the Bajanti Devi of Bihar or the Satamma Devi of Telangana, how with a mouse in their hand, they are bringing digital inclusion. And in this, yesterday I announced in my press in Delhi, 1,000 digital villages, DigiGaon, 6 crore Indian being given digital literacy, nearly 40% of rural family. All are going to supplement India, a country of hope and aspiration. How India is changing, ladies and gentlemen. One, I'm also the Minister of Electronics. When we came to power, we had just 11,000 crore investment in electronics. Now it is 1,26,000 crores. In the last 2 years, 72 new mobile manufacturing units have come to India. 42 mobile and 30 component manufacturing. And India is becoming a big hub of electronic and mobile manufacturing for India and exports. If you encourage, if you trust, Indians do respond. Lastly, Nidhi, let me conclude. And what is my conclusion? Our commitment for a free and independent judiciary is complete and total. We are doing our best in terms of e-governance, in terms of infrastructure. But yes, contentions would come. Dispute will arise. And let us trust the intellectual capacity and foresight of our judicial leadership and the political understanding of our political leadership, coupled with the free media and the free mind of India, to continue to find a solution in quest of a better India. That's how I think. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Prasad. And let's get straight to the fun part, which is the question and answer. And just to let the audience know that in a few minutes, we'll open this up to the audience as well. There are microphones on the floor which are being handed around. So if you could just raise your hand, we'll try and get as many questions in as possible. Mr. Prasad, you laid out the fundamental problem right now that is existing between the executive and the judiciary. One of the things many people would say is the reason why the judiciary has been overactive and perhaps even overreaching is because the executive hasn't really done its job. How would you respond to that?
If the executive does not do its job, the judiciary is there. Why not? People go, PIL is there, judiciary will give directions. But what I said only, governance must remain in the realm of those elected to govern by the people of India. Judiciary must give directions, ensure compliances. If there is failure, have contempt also. Those powers are available. That's the one thing. And let me tell you, I don't agree with your premise that there is a constant discord. We are having the best relationship with judiciary. We respect them, we engage with them, we talk to them, and surely we try to find a common ground, and we'll continue to do that.
If that is the case, then why were the judicial appointments held up for such a long time, particularly last year when the Chief Justice, the then Chief Justice, was complaining about this delay? And there was a sense that after the NJAC judgment, the government was essentially holding back on these appointments.
First, on a factual clarification. Since 1990, there used to be 75 to 80 appointments every year. Last year, we made 126 appointments, the highest ever in the history of India, of High Court judges. Lot of Supreme Court judges, lot of about 122 additional judges were confirmed. But yes, Nidhi, I'm sorry to make this comment, but I will have to make the comment. The Chief Justice and the Law Minister need not talk in public. Okay. We continue to meet every fortnight. We exchange notes. Just to clarify on one thing, because you took the name, it was held up. 5,000 vacancies in the subordinate judiciary is there. And in filling the vacancy of subordinate judiciary, neither the government of India has a role to play, nor the state government has a role to play. It is only the high courts, either themselves or upon their recommendation, the Public Service Commission. Because now the collegium system is there, names have to come from the High Court Collegium. Then it comes to me, then I be clearance, then the Supreme Court says that. It is a part of the process. That's all I have to tell you.
So there was no deliberate sort of holding back on these appointments, as the impression went out because of the tensions between the two branches?
Well, I can only tell you, I said very gently, with profoundest respect, that the previous Chief Justice ought not to have gone public on these things. Okay. And I did not respond at all, except once. But the past is past, I can only tell you. We are having the best of understanding. The Chief Justice and their teamwork is working, and we'll work together.
After the NJAC judgment, in fact, part of the NJAC judgment, when the Supreme Court struck that down, was that the court itself agreed that there needed to be a new procedure to appoint judges, and that there had to be a new memorandum of procedure that had to be created in order to do that. That has since been pretty much stalled. It's been, I think more than a year now, and we still don't know what this new appointment process will be. When will we know?
Let me tell the distinguished ladies and gentlemen present here. The Supreme Court on 15th of December 2015, while setting aside the unanimously approved constitutional amendment, said, even though we are setting it aside, but the collegium system has a lot of flaws which needs to be strengthened in terms of transparency, in terms of accountability, in terms of the screening, etc. Now the report, and they said the government of India will supplement the MOP and the unanimous collegium will take a view on that. Since I have spoken it publicly earlier, very little, Nidhi, on the 3rd of August, immediately after taking charge again as the law minister in the Modi government, I have sent government's view designed to improve accountability and transparency. I am awaiting their response.
And what is the government's view? Can you share with us? There have been some reports on what the government has suggested, but what are some of the key changes you suggested?
To be very honest to you, because I am already discussing it with the collegium. It will not be fair on my part to make it public, except to re-emphasize that our whole focus is designed to improve it in the light of the suggestions they have given themselves for improving the system in terms of transparency, in terms of accountability, in terms of appraisal, etc.
There have been reports that one of the suggestions that the government is making, for instance, is that there will be a veto by the government on appointments on the basis of national security. Can you at least confirm for us if that's correct?
I think that is too much loose comments being made about it. You see, let me tell you, a judge is a very important position. Okay. In India, and I know judiciary is very cooperative on this issue by itself. India is under threat because of terrorism. Mr. Narayan is sitting here himself. He has been a man of security, knows India's outside. We have to be careful. That's all I can tell you. The government does not wish to exercise any veto power. Okay. But surely the mechanism must entail provision of sharing with the judiciary if serious adverse reports are there against any particular lawyer under consideration. One thing. Second, Nidhi, you cannot put everything on record. Because putting everything on record also has serious implications from the point of security. But sharing ought to be done with the decision makers. It is for them to take a call, and we have to pursue it.
But doesn't that already exist? Because when judges are appointed, they are vetted by the Intelligence Bureau. So
surely,
what do you want beyond that?
You are asking me a lot of questions which I cannot share, which I don't wish to share. Because I'm discussing with the judiciary.
You're still discussing it, but you're not denying it. I mean, it's still a process
I didn't say veto power. Did I say that?
Not that, but you want a greater say if, where does national security come into this? I mean, you touched upon it, but what exactly does the government want to do?
I can only briefly tell you that if the government has tangible inputs about any particular candidate, which are seriously impinging upon issues of security, we'll share with the entire consultation process. That's what we are saying. Everything, and again, to be very honest to you, because now I have experience of governance. Many things sensitive cannot be brought on files. Okay, since you mentioned about the IB inputs of it. Because let me put it differently. If you put everything on file, then it becomes a kind of a blot against him or her for the whole of his life. But there are information, there are tangible information, that has to be shared with those who have got the right to recommend and appoint. This is how we have to go about it.
On the issue of judicial activism, though, can you share with us honestly what you believe are 2-3 examples where you believe the judiciary overreached and had really no business getting into?
You are asking provocative question with the Law Minister of India, isn't it? Well, I will make just one example. And again, this example as a student of law, senior lawyer, not necessarily as the Law Minister. Because the right to give gentle observation about the judgment per se is not wrong. One High Court decided, because there is a drought, there should be no cricket match. Okay? Because you will need water to water the stadium. My lords write the judgment as a precedent, okay, to be followed by other courts. Now, if you write, then as a matter of, then other court also state why cricket match in our case, there is also water problem here. Then you have to decide there will be no water in the swimming pool of five-star hotels during summer. Then you'll have to say there will be no athletic meet during summer because you need water to take care of the grass on which they run. Then you have to say the bungalows of ministers and judges need not be gardened, watered in their gardens. It has many implications. Governance nidhi is a very complex issue where you have to formulate, let me say, executive formulates and executes. Legislature legislates. Judiciary interprets. This is the whole scenario. And their interpretation becomes sacrosanct, like to be followed. But when you go into the competing realm of governance issue, I'm sorry to say, there are no judicially manageable standards to manage it. Therefore, I thought this example was very appropriate example.
I mean, I have other examples, you're right. Even the national drought policy, when they were telling the center that this is what your drought policy should be, or even the revamp of the BCCI. I mean, again, I ask you very frankly, is it something that the courts should even be getting into, how a cricket body is administered? I mean, it's another example. Or even admitting a PIL on, whether there should be Sardar jokes. Why should it even be listening to that?
I must tell you, Sardar jokes was clearly avoidable. No, absolutely. I always feel, Nidhi, because on the issue of cricket, the matter is still sub judice.
Yes.
I need not make any comment. But fun, pun, jokes, repartee are part of Indian democracy. Let's learn to celebrate it. Some politicians have a problem with a cartoon. Come on, if cartoon goes out of India, there will be no humor in India's politics. We have to be mature enough to understand that. But I would say one thing, this whole green issue, there has to be a balance between sustainable development and conservation. There has to be a balance. Now, it should not be done in a manner that development completely comes to a grinding halt. These are issues which have to be discussed, have to be analyzed, and some kind of boundaries will have to be recognized.
So you feel the judiciary is overstepping there as well?
I did not say that. You have asked me a question. I have replied as a student of law.
But Mr. Prasad, coming back to this issue,
all the questions you will ask. All right, go ahead, no problem. Hindu is the forum.
I think you have many more questions from the floor as well.
Where my good friend Nidhi must have all the liberties. Go ahead, then I'll talk to you also. Yes.
On this issue of judicial appointments, and let me be the devil's advocate here. You mentioned the fact that when they struck down the NJAC law, one of the things that the judiciary was worried about was the fact that the law minister would be part of the selection process, and you went on to give the example of the Prime Minister. The independence of the judiciary, though, is something that's very different from the appointment of a CAG or a CVC or a Chief Election Commissioner. I think the judges would argue that it requires a completely different system that is divorced from the executive. Is that possible?
First of all, two things. Are the founding fathers not reasonable and mature enough? There is a famous quote of Dr. Ambedkar in the Constituent Assembly, rarely spoken about, that the reason as to why I don't want to entrust the Prime Minister with the sole responsibility to appoint judges is also applicable in case of Chief Justice. Then they say, in consultation with the judiciary. That is the wording of Article 124. The President shall appoint in consultation with. The second point, do you need a fair President or not? Do you need a fair Speaker of the Lok Sabha or not? Do you need a fair Chief Election Commissioner or not? Do you need a fair CAG or not? That's a larger question I'm raising. Therefore, I have my reservations, which I told you. And it is not established by empirical evidence. But since you have become the devil's advocate, let me also become a devil advocate. I mentioned certain outstanding judges appointed from 1950 till 1993. Has the collegium system produced any judge of the caliber of Krishna Iyer, of Justice Hidayatullah, of Justice Venkat Chalaiya, or Justice J.S. Verma, or Justice Patanjali Shastri, or Justice Gajendra Gadkar? These are also there. Therefore, to say in a sweeping way, again, I must repeat, I have a great commitment to the independence of judiciary. I have become, I was a big activist lawyer myself in the quest of exposing fraudulent scam to bituminous scam to enforcing accountability. You know my background. So I'm a great supporter of the initiative of that. But, just to repeat, governance must remain the realm of those elected to govern by the people of India.
Well, on that note, let me open this up to the audience. I think there'll be lots of questions. So I'll go to the gentleman in the corner who raised his hand first. Yes.
Mr. Prasad, you gave a long list of persons the Prime Minister appoints solely or otherwise. Maybe that's a little too long, and you want to make it longer by having the Prime Minister be the sole person to decide who should be the judges. That seems to be the implication of what you're saying. The second thing is, why can't things be put on file? You say they can't be put on file. What's your logic? I mean, I'm not talking about secret information that has come from Alaska that you can't put on file. We're talking about things that are happening within the country.
First of all, I think I never said that Prime Minister must have the sole prerogative of the Law Minister. The National Judicial Commission stipulated that it shall be headed by the Chief Justice of India. We'll have two senior-most judges of the Supreme Court of India. We'll have the Law Minister and two eminent persons to be selected by a collegium of the Prime Minister, the opposition leader in the Lok Sabha, and the Chief Justice of India. Therefore, the PM was not sole at all. Even the Chief Election Commissioner, there is a collegium. Even for the CAG, there is a collegium. So that I need to clarify. That impression, if you have, I'm sorry, that is the wrong impression. When I said something should not be put on file, that something is the most sensitive I talked about, which you yourself acknowledged, which does not come from Alaska, has come from solid information impinging upon very sensitive national security. Only that I said, not all the information. Because if ultimately, suppose, let me put it like this, suppose a person is not selected, and if it is on record, it becomes a kind of a problem for him for the whole of his life. But listen to me, but that will be shared with the Chief Justice, with the entire collegium, shown the documents, everything. That is what, I'm not saying it is final. I said it is a proposal.
Yes, gentleman here in the front.
You have a lot of questions, looks like.
Yeah, lots of. See, I told you there'll be more questions from the audience, probably tougher ones.
So the separation between the judiciary and the executive is part of the checks and balances in our constitutional system, and in that sense, the judiciary acts as the gatekeeper. Why should the Prime Minister or the Law Minister have the authority to appoint the gatekeepers? What you said reminded me of what Indira Gandhi wanted to have. She wanted to have a committed bureaucracy. And what you said seems like this government wants to have a pliable and a committed judiciary.
First of all, you need not have this misconception at all. We have fought for the independence of judiciary. We have suffered for the independence of judiciary. We have gone to jail for the independence of judiciary during emergency. Okay? When Mrs. Gandhi was, to use your word, quote unquote, seeking to make a pliant judiciary and a pliant bureaucracy. But I told you one thing, because Nidhi asked me a question about the collegium system, the National Judicial Commission. And I also said, we have respected the judgment. We have obeyed the judgment. And in terms of that judgment, we are making appointment. But the existing collegium system is flawed. I haven't said. The Supreme Court itself has said in the judgment of a constitution bench. It needs improvement. Therefore, the existing system of appointment needs improvement is an acknowledgement by the Supreme Court itself. In that context, we are working. And lastly, we had such eminent judges appointed in 50s, 60s, also in early 70s, also in 80s. They have done so well. You need to recall that also. I thought I'm as clear as possible.
Yes.
Minister, the present judiciary has been a product of the collegium. And can really the judges say with their hand on their heart that they have been above board? There have been number of cases and they have been proved they are as susceptible like other mundane human beings for amassing wealth and for other things. I hope I am not giving out my name lest I be caught in the contempt of court. And you really know the mining cases. There have been a case against the Supreme Court, Chief Justice of Supreme Court also, which has been, he has been exonerated after 3 years. And hence to tell that there is a need for the judiciary to do introspection themselves as to how good they are. And there have been black sheep among them. And of course, lower judiciary has literally gone completely astray. This is my observation.
First of all, let me tell you, there may be 1-2 bad instances, but to blame the entire judiciary is not fair. Just a minute. We need to be very proud of the contribution of the independence, of the intellectual caliber of the many of the judges of the High Court and Supreme Court. As far as the appointment process is concerned, you share your own concern. That concern has also been judicially recognized, as I told in the previous question answer, by the Supreme Court. We need to improve it. The National Judicial Commission was designed to make that improvement. I want to make it clear. But it has been set aside. We have followed the judgment. Now we have given our observations, as I told Nidhi, since August, how to improve the entire collegium system. Let's hope that the present Chief Justice and the present collegium will expedite it.
So you're not sharing too many details of those observations, but we hope that we get that out of you at some point, yes.
Now you want me to suffer a contempt? No, it has a lighter vein, Nidhi.
Yes.
When I am discussing with the judiciary, it will not be at all proper on my part to share those details in public. Yeah.
You've touched upon 3 topics that I would like to bring into one question. Judicial overreach, water and environment. There was a judgment by the Supreme Court, or there was a comment by the Supreme Court that all rivers in India should be interlinked. Now, I would like to, and I know this government is really pursuing this actively, but in my opinion, this is massive national implications, both for ecological as well as social security. I would like to know your comment or your views on this.
I think Nidhi and Hindu Huddle ought to have called the Environment Minister to reply to this query. I can only make general observations. You know, whenever you take any policy initiative, there are always 2 sides to it. The water of southern Brahmaputra goes waste. I come from Bihar. In North Bihar, all the rivers come from Nepal, cause havoc. The waters go waste. Should be put to productive use or not into those areas which are water deficit. That is surely an important policy initiative. Yes, ecological issues need to be addressed. And the government of the days would be well advised to explore constructive solutions to this problem. Now, regarding the judicial direction, I have not examined that. But I think again, whether rivers need to be linked or not to be linked is a question of governance, to be decided by those entrusted with executive accountability, keeping in mind all the pros and cons. That's how I see it.
Can we get the mic to Mr. Ram, please? Mr. N. Ram in the front.
Oh my goodness. Mr. N. Ram will also ask a question. No problem. Go ahead. No, you can go with hard question also, Mr. Ram. No problem.
Ravi Shankar ji, I can think of one judge who would have been outstanding, who never got to the Supreme Court because of, I think, prejudices at the collegium level. A.P. Shah, Chief Justice A.P. Shah. This is just my observation. But the question, what I want to ask you about is the Lokpal. I don't think it's a magic wand to solve all the problems, but there was a consensus, and the legislation is in place. It's been notified, but the Lokpal has not been constituted for an obvious reason, that there's no leader of the opposition. The Supreme Court commented on it. The question is, where are we in this process of appointment of the Lokpal?
Without compromising my stature as the Law Minister of India, I tend to agree with your first observation about Justice A.P. Shah. The non-promotion of Justice A.P. Shah to the Apex Court itself is a very powerful statement of the limitations of collegium. Beyond this, I have nothing more to offer. Today, one comment more I can make about Justice G.P. Singh of Jabalpur High Court. He is called Lord Denning of India on interpretation of statutes. His book is a classic. Every year there has to be. He remained the Chief Justice of Jabalpur High Court for 5 years, but was not brought to the Supreme Court. There are many cases, let's leave it like that. Regarding Lokpal, there is an issue. Certain amendments have been proposed. I am not up to date on that. Unless those amendments are addressed, the process cannot commence. So we are quite keenly pursuing that. But let me tell you one thing, Mr. Ram, with greatest respect to you. I know I respect you a lot. Our government, we are very proud to say that as far as corruption is concerned in Narendra Modi government, in terms of decision making, is completely stopped. I was the Communication Minister of India. We sold a spectre for 10,000 crore. Then we had the auction of coal blocks, 3 lakh crore. And there were people who used to talk of zero loss. And there were leaders who used to say, when the coal is attached to the ground, where is the scam? You know it. And Hindu did a stellar role in the whole process. Therefore, in the government of India decision making today, corruption is not there, and I'm very proud of my Prime Minister that way. But I take your point that we have to expedite appointment of Lokpal. Again, there are concerns. It is not my concern, I'm only sharing. Lokpal will be a very important position. And there has to be some checks and balances also within the institutions as well, not without any outside interference. We have to look into all those.
Are there any ladies who have a question? I'm partial
Yes.
to the ladies
Yes,
in
she's
the
there.
room.
There.
Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Priya Sancheti. My question to you is, with the government coming up with increasing initiatives for women empowerment and Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, Andolan and all that, and if we see nowadays in Bangalore or in Delhi in particular, there are many cases of women getting raped, molestation, etc. So why is the government not getting any stringent law in this case?
First of all, you are very right. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao movement has become a very big movement. And since you have asked that question, kindly see in the last 1 year, when President Obama came on the 26th of January 2015, the Prime Minister ensured that the first contingent is of a woman contingent leading that. Today, women are flying fighter planes. The extraordinary role of Indian women athletic in the Olympic, we have seen that. In the wake of the entire Nirbhaya case, Justice Verma sat, a special committee was there, and lot of amendment we have done. We have made in the CRPC. Her statement must be recorded in isolation. Immediately, FIR must be instituted at the place where she was there. Her statement must be recorded in the presence of a woman officer. All those things are there. A special court. I must have written to about 3 letters to all the Chief Justices of India that rape cases, violence against women must be expedited in fast track. All those things are doing. I must tell you, government, center or state, all are on board in ensuring speedy justice for those women who are a victim of violence, including rape. We are doing that. I have increased the judges' strength of the High Court by 170 in the last 2 years. The lower court judges...
126 or 170? 126, I thought you said.
170.
170.
High Court judges have been increased. 4,000 number of judges have been increased also in the subordinate courts. We have given huge grants to create new law courts, e-courts, all those things are going. The collective effort is going, but as far as violence against women is concerned, there need to be social pressure as well. This I'll surely highlight.
So there is quite social pressure if we see. My question was, what you're saying about is the cure. I'm talking about the prevention.
About the cure.
That's a tough question. How do you sort of prevent?
Well, that is a very larger question. The society, the leaders of society, women. I am very proud today women come on the street protesting against it. I salute the courage of Indian women. There has to be a collective effort. And let me tell you on this issue, the entire country is one. Only we have to accelerate our coordinated action and ensure results. Some kind of criminals will always be there. How soon we can isolate, create, if any example of gang rape comes, we hang our head in shame. Why not? It should not happen. But if it happens, the police machinery must ignite into action immediately and bring them to book. If that happens, surely a lot of deterrence will come about.
I have to ask Mr. Prasad, just a little detour. When you mentioned all these appointments that your government has made, and you said 170 High Court judges?
No, we have created posts.
Posts. So why was Chief Justice Thakur crying then?
Now you are becoming naughty, Nidhi, I will tell you.
Why did he break down?
He has retired. He ought not to have cried. Okay? A Chief Justice is a very important post. He is entitled to his emotion. But this I am saying with great respect, that Chief Justice, Prime Minister, Presidents, you have entitled to become emotional. And when I found, as I said, 5,000 posts are still vacant. But past is past, okay?
He ought not to have cried. Yes, gentleman here in the back.
Thank you. Sir, you just mentioned GP Singh. Interestingly, last week the High Court of Kenya cited him when striking down criminal defamation, just as an aside. But my question to you, sir, was that you spoke of transparency in the appointments procedure. What do you think of transparency with respect to judicial proceedings? Do you think there's a scope for a law that can regulate, say, making judicial proceedings available on video, and so that it can take care of both the transparency and the security issues with respect to that?
You know, it's a very interesting question. What's your name? I need to compliment you. What's your name?
Gautam.
What do you do, Gautam?
I'm a lawyer.
Yes. I could sense that. Now, kindly see. First, you need to be proud of the openness of the judicial process. I have been a lawyer of some involvement over the years, Patna High Court, then Supreme Court. Arguments are in the open. Anyone can go inside the court with due permission. Recording of evidence is in the open. Unless in case of sexual offences, then it has to be in camera. The judgment is delivered, and the judgment can be taken by anyone. It is a public document, reported. Therefore, judicial functioning by itself is very much in the open, except on the administrative side as far as appointment is concerned. Now you want, our government and even the previous government have put the e-courts into big, now the second phase of e-courts has come about. As an IT minister, I see judicial data grid has come. Now you want all the court proceeding to be live on television with Nidhi anchoring it. I think there I have my little reservations on that. Therefore, allow it to grow, allow it to grow. E-courts are coming in a very big way. E-proceeding is already there. E-filing is there. Modest level, it has to increase more. This is how I see it. But if all the court proceedings are going to become televised or become available public in a digital mode, you understand the consequences of it? You have got so many high courts, 26 plus. You have so many district courts all over the country. All are having one case or the other. How many are going to have the total infrastructure? The entire public space digitally would be cluttered by judicial proceeding. So there is a logistical problem also.
I thought TV channels were already self-appointed courts. But that is my dig at my own profession. Yes.
Namaste, sir. My name is Naveen Kumar Chaudhary. I'm from Varanasi. My question is a bit out of topic, but it is very important for youth. Recently, United Nations started a campaign called Not Too Young to Run.
What campaign?
Not Too Young to Run, which aim to promote the young people right to run public offices. As per the Article 84B of the Constitution of India, which is the minimum age of contesting election in India is 25, but whereas the age of voting is 18. Why such discrimination, sir, with 18 to 25-year youth? If we can vote, why we cannot run in the election? What is your view and stand on this issue?
It's a good question.
You are right and you are also wrong. Why you are right? At 18, you are entitled to vote. At 25, you must become a candidate. Okay? For Raj Sabha, you have to be a little more elder.
35.
For president, you have to be a little more elder. For vice president too. then you will say, if I can vote at 18, I should become President of India also at 18, I can contest. Allow this.
But sir, United Nations is saying this.
Oh, Baba. All right. Has anywhere in the world you have seen a young president of 18 years? A young prime minister of 18 years? 35, 40 we have seen. Okay? As far as India is concerned, and sit down, I'll explain to you. There is a political logic for it, and I'm happy you have asked this question. In India, a country of great diversity, it takes some time for you to become known through political evolution. If you are born in a big family, because of your family surname, you become known very quickly. Okay? Take the case of our government. All the leaders, from the Prime Minister to Rajnath Singh, to Sushma Swaraj, to Arun Jaitley, to Venkaiah Naidu, to myself, we all began from the ground. I became an ABVP activist in Patna College, then Patna University, then Patna City, then Patna Commissionery, then Bihar. In 1990, I became the Youth Wing All India Vice President. Then you become known in the process in the entire country by your performance. This needs 20 years plus. By that, you become 35, 40, 45. Therefore, if you have to come through the process, let the party and the people must know your worth, that you are capable of running the country at the higher level. And in my judgment, that is a very right approach. Yes, people do parachute if they are born with a silver spoon. No problem.
Not so subtle dig at the opposition. We have time for just one last question. Yes.
Mr. Prasad, there is a lot of talk about some of our judicial laws or police reforms being very, very old and being drafted at a time when the English were ruling India with certain context. What's your thought on how we could change it? And you know that there's so much of stagnation that happens and how the courts function and the enforcement of law and so on. Would love to hear your views on that.
But Nidhi, first my complaint. In Bangalore, in the great Huddle of Hindu, no question on IT was asked from the IT minister. Okay? This I must make a gentle complaint. But anyway, let me reply to you. You're very right. We have already repealed about 1175 laws. We have identified 1875 laws already. Only day before yesterday, I introduced a new bill in the Lok Sabha to repeal 105 laws. And this process of weeding out old archaic laws and regulation is an ongoing process. And if you have any specific suggestion to give about any particular law which you feel is counterproductive, we are quite open for that.
Sedition 377. can list quite a few. Mr. Ram, you can end the proceedings for us.
Thank you very much, Nidhi. I was going to ask about BCCI, etc., but I won't. I'm going to take the cue from you on IT. Internet use in India is obviously growing, although we have bandwidth issues, still pretty poor. But what is of concern to us is that we do not have reliable, rich data on internet use in India. Most other countries, significant countries, which have internet development, have surveys, independent surveys. China has twice a year, US, South Korea, etc. Why is it that neither NASSCOM nor some independent body set up by the government of India has not thought it fit to institute systematic surveys? I'm not talking about just ballpark figures. We have 350 million internet users that you can get through one survey, one-off survey. But why is it that we fight shy of gathering data, rich data on internet use in India, that is between men and women, rural, urban, age groups, etc. And this is a chance for, during your ministership, to fill this gap, I think, by thinking about it and initiating the institutionalization of data gathering on internet use.
Mr. Ram, it is a very wonderful suggestion. I take it on board. I think we have till now about 50 million internet users, 500 million, 50 crores. We have internet service provider bodies, they give us. We have got the private mobile operators, they give us. And we have got other data providers, they give us. But I quite take your point, there has to be a structured survey, about the exact number. I'll surely look into it. One thing I must tell you. Let us begin at least once a year, then we'll go for twice a year. One thing I must tell you, sitting in Bangalore, Indian IT professionals, particularly here, you know, the way India is becoming the second startup industry, it's truly remarkable. I would request Hindu to have some kind of huddle with those young people as to how they are changing India. Someone talked of 25 years. They are 24, 25, 30. Day before yesterday, I cleared about 6,000 crore of electronic development fund for innovation. This innovative India is a remarkable India. On internet, I would only tell you one thing, which I have said earlier also, I'd like to repeat, and it is very important. Internet is one of the finest creation of human mind. It should not be allowed to be abused by few. And if internet has to become global, it must have linkage with the local. And as an IT Minister of India, I am speaking world over, any neo-imperialism in internet governance will not be acceptable to us. Multi-stakeholder model, the people, the civil society, the media, the academia, the government and the industry, all have done great contribution in the spread of internet, and we have to work together. That is how the model which we are pursuing.
Mr. Prasad, thank you very much. And before you go, the question I think that's weighing on many minds, I must ask, who's winning UP? And on a more serious note, because I know you'll say BJP. Mr. Ram is saying not BJP, but I know you'll say the BJP is winning. So therefore, let me ask you a more serious question, which is, would you concede that this election is like a little referendum on Mr. Modi's government at the center, or is it not?
All right.
Or are you delinking it?
All right.
Because that answer will also tell us a lot.
In law, Nidhi, there is a question of beyond jurisdiction. Okay. So this political question is beyond jurisdiction in the context of the topic you have given. But since you have asked me this question, how many referendums do you have on Mr. Modi?
I'm asking you.
Because you asked this question, after Lok Sabha election, we won Jharkhand, we won Haryana, we won Jammu and Kashmir, we won Maharashtra. We also lost, I'm considering that, Bihar. And after we lost Bihar, India became tolerant. Okay, it was intolerant before that. That is also a fact. And now India is completely tolerant. But we won even municipal bodies in a massive show from Maharashtra to Gujarat to Chandigarh. Everywhere Congress brought with Notbandi. And India, Nidhi, you are a very...
Municipal elections were a referendum on
No,
demonetization?
I'm not saying they raised that. The Congress raised that. Congress raised that. I'm only saying, as a veteran journalist, you know very well, India has elections every year. Next year you'll have Chhattisgarh, you'll have Rajasthan, you'll have Madhya Pradesh. Next year you'll have Lok Sabha election. I have campaigned in UP, Mr. Ram, I very respectfully differ with you. I was to campaign there, but I came for this program also. UP is heading for a change. Why I am telling you? It is now 15 years, Samajwadi Party, BSP, Samajwadi Party. And the aspirational young crowd which you talk about is also in full number there. We trust the maturity of the people of Uttar Pradesh. Surely the result is going to be different.
All right. Well, you're saying it's just another state election, which I think is a very interesting political comment to make at this time. But thank you very much, Mr. Prasad, for your
You
views.
will see political connotation in all my answers.
I just wonder what would happen if the BJP did win, because who's going to get the credit for that? So we'll talk about that later. But thank you very much, Mr. Prasad. You're always a good sport, always willing to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nidhi. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Namaste. Namaste. Thank you, Nidhi.
Thank you, Sri Ravi Shankar Prasad and Ms. Nidhi Razdan. As a token of our appreciation, I request Mr. Raghavan Srinivasan, editor, The Hindu Business Line, to hand over mementos to our speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you